So, all right. So, yeah, welcome everyone to this information session, Fruit Share Adelaide information session today. Basically, going to run through sort of an overview of what we have done so far, a bit about Fruit Share Adelaide. As you can see here, we're really about harvesting unwanted or excess locally grown fruit and redistributing that to the community. This picture up the top here is from a quince harvest we had up in Macclesfield a month or two ago, where we got over 200 kilos of quinces from that one tree in the background. So you don't necessarily need a lot of trees to get plenty of fruit. So what we're going to run through. So what is Fruit Share Adelaide? How we've grown, some plans what we're thinking about going forward, and some of the roles like area coordinator or harvest leaders that we're hoping to help spread around Adelaide, and then how we'll sort of help people in these roles and other roles, and we'll have a bit of Q&A. There I've got another picture of a orange harvest. That was one of the earlier ones. That was about 100 kilos of oranges off that one tree, an old tree that's probably, I think it was probably around 50 years old. So yeah, again, it doesn't take a lot to get a good harvest. So yeah, what is Fruit Share Adelaide? Like you probably already know, to some degree, but we're a volunteer organisation that harvests unwanted or excess locally growing fruit to redistribute to the community, and that can be from backyards or orchards or public spaces, wherever we find it. The image on the right, that's sort of the first post I put out, July last year, 2023, to test the idea, because I got the idea off a group in Ballarat called the Hidden Orchard. They've been going for about 6 years, I think, and so I threw that out there. There was lots of interest, and I ended up partnering with the Onkaparinga Food Security Collaborative to put in a grant through Onkaparinga, and then I did one off my own bat through Mitcham Council, and we got both of those, which has helped us get some equipment and all that out there. And Green Adelaide also got on board to help us with insurance, which that's covering the Green Adelaide region, which is most of Metro Adelaide, but also I think has also rolled over that insurance. We've allowed to use that beyond the Metro Adelaide area, so through the hills or whatever, is also covers us on that. So that saved us a bit of money because we had insurance allowed for in one of the grants. So using it for other stuff now. So I only really started picking fruit in the middle of January this year in 2024. But you can see on the next slide how much we've picked in that short time. And we're in the process of registering as an incorporated association, which is a learning experience, but hopefully that will happen soon. So it will help us getting grants and whatever going forward. So there's a few stats of where we're at. We've already got over 1,200 followers and on Facebook, and over 120 volunteers registered, even though probably only about just over 20 of them sort of helped on harvests. So lots of getting lots of volunteers would have signed up, but the big one is 1,800 kilos of fruit have been harvested. A lot of that has been in the last few weeks on these pears that we've got from an orchard just down the road from me here in Blackwood, or the orchard's in the Coromandel Valley, but so those 600 kilos is from McGarry Orchard. So it's pears that basically pollinating pears that isn't worth them picking, but they're happy for us to come and get them. So we've got 600 kilos there, and then these nashies are from another small orchard. So definitely helps boost the numbers, and some of these plums are from another orchard. So I think these pears down in the bottom picture here, that's from the McGarry pear, their orchard. So that's the top 10 fruit that we picked. So pears and nashies are big, but also apples. They had a few good apple harvests, and quinces. There was one that was over 200. So that's a good idea. But we haven't really got too much of the softer fruit like the the peaches and nectarines and apricots. We sort of missed that sort of window. Weren't quite ready in time, but we will be for next year. And so this, that sort of shows like how much we've picked in different parts of across the city. So obviously like Onkaparinga and Mitcham has been the two biggest, but we've had some orchards in amongst that. So and following on from that, we've got Adelaide Hills where we've had a couple of big harvests sort of out near Woodside and Mylor, and also out Macclesfield Way. So there's been quite a few good harvests around. So it just shows that this that it's been quite spread around. This is a bit of a map that I've done up to show where all that sits. I'll just see if I can. I'll change the screen just to show. Have a look here on this map here. Basically, is got all the volunteers and fruit trees and charities marked on there. So you can see these are the they're all the volunteers we've got reached at the moment, their locations. So they are a lot in the south, but they are quite spread around, and where people are getting interested. And the more gets out there, the more people do register. So there's some out in the hills, fruit trees. The green ones are where we've picked. So there's again quite spread out, a lot in Onkaparinga and Mitcham areas, but they're all over the place really. And we more and more, like these are the charities in yellow there, so we're getting more and more of those also signing up around the place. So the more places we can to take the fruit, the easier it makes it for logistics, because at the moment logistics is one of the the big sort of challenges. And I'll just jump back to this Prezzo and so plans that we are going further into the future, is basically just trying to get this happening across the city. Saving more fruit from going to waste and feeding more people, because there's a huge need out there. Found no matter how much we pick, it always goes, and it's a big community building sort of project that really helps bring people together. So this, on the right there, that's a apple harvest we had up near in Piccadilly. If someone's got their mic on, can you just mute it, please? So that was 130 odd kilos of apples, from a few trees that had in their little orchard in the backyard. So what we're thinking we need is just to have some people, like calling them area coordinators, but can look after sort of things in the different areas across the city. And I'm sort of roughly broken up into 10 regions, but it can work however it works. And then some people that actually go out there and do the leading the harvests and working on the logistics, because often of picking hundreds of kilos of fruit, it's sort of like working out where that goes, and often I end up with a couple of 100 kilos of whatever in my room here and at home. So and that's building relationships with the councils and businesses and whatever, and trying to get funding, but also at least build those connections. So about what area coordinators are. See, I've roughly broken it up in these sort of I think 10 or so areas. It doesn't have to be this. I've just grouped together a number of different councils, so 2 or 3 council areas, but we can sort of mix and match to some degree depending on where people are available and where they want to be able to cover. And so the role of the area coordinator is really to sort of work in the local area to sort of build those connections between charities and the volunteers and all, the tree owners and all that, because I'm based down in the south sort of area here in Mitcham, so I know around Mitcham and the sort of north end of Onkaparinga, up into the hills a bit, but going out north and west I'm not so familiar. So it's making those connections, coordinating the harvest, so just setting up events and all that sort of thing, and then working out where that fruit goes to, how you distribute that around. So this is work in progress. Like I said here, I've been coordinating a lot of it myself today. Help with some good volunteers, but it's still trying to get more people involved so we can spread that around a bit easier and not miss it. Get to the harvest quickly so we don't miss out, because quite often they can be short notice. So it's really just being across different areas better and have those connections. So that's where some people have showed interest so far. So in the west, a bit in the west and the south, but not really so much out north or further. And this is really the harvest coordinating, which is really the crux of it, is organising the events themselves to go out and harvest the fruit. But it's not just the harvest itself. It's also creating an event that we can publicise. So we create the event and deal with the tree owner and create an event, sort of online event, sharing that on Facebook and whatnot. And then there's all the activities around running the harvest, which I'll step through on another slide. And then you've got the after the harvest, it's sort of just been weighing all the fruit, keeping track of that, so we can say how much we've recorded, how much we've saved from different areas, how much we've harvested, and I think that's really quite useful. It'd be handy, applying for grants and all that sort of thing, and even just generating interest. If you can say, oh, we've saved 1,800 kilos of fruit from going to waste, which we have so far, it's it's good to be able to tell people what we're actually doing. So put together a bit of a document on the process around that, which I can share with anyone that's interested, but I'll I'll cover some of the basic steps, but I can share that with people if they want. So these are a few of the documents that we put together. Got a welcome guide that basically for volunteers that just basically steps them through some of the requirements of what it means to be a volunteer and all that sort of thing. And part of the insurance, we done a risk assessment, step through some of the main risks, like climbing up, trying to reduce limit people climbing up ladders and the like, because that's probably one of the biggest risks. And lifting heavy crates or boxes of fruit is another big one, because often they can be over 15 kilos, so we're trying to limit that down to a decent weight. And I've got a spreadsheet which basically has got all the volunteers and trees and all that information in there. So it's sort of, that's what I call it, master spreadsheet. And then sort of for each harvest we have one of these sign-in sheets where we just document who was there and how much was picked and all that, which feeds back into this spreadsheet. So creating the harvest event. So this is activities where you don't actually have to go out on site. So there's a lot, initially is being in contact with the fruit tree owners, finding out, when's it going to be ripe, and how much is there, and all those sorts of logistics. Are there any site access issues and all that sort of jazz? So it is, we say site visit here, but quite often we haven't really had too many site visits, just to the nature of where the harvests have been. It's been a bit hard to get out there, but talking to the owners, they've normally been fill us in on any issues there might be or how big it might be, and often they willing to provide ladders or anything else that they might need. So once you've worked through that, it's working out when the harvest will be and like how many volunteers, and it's always good to have more, because it makes it easier. Like we try to keep the harvest to like an hour, so that it's not taking up too much of the day, and an hour is often, unless it's a really big harvest, is normally enough. Like some of the orchard picks have gone for probably closer to 2 hours, but if you keep it short, then it's much easier. So once you sorted out when of the and where and all that of the harvest, then create an event like like I'm sort of showing over on the right here, but we don't post actual street address. We just put a intersection nearby, and then we put an access code so that you need to be part of the Facebook group or the on the, sign up as a volunteer basically. So when you sign up as a volunteer, then you can access the Facebook group or the WhatsApp group, and then we share any of these codes for the harvests on that. So it's being careful that we're not just putting out public addresses for all these properties we go to. Try to keep it sort of private. We don't want it to be inundated. And then business then, like running the harvest. So it's really before the harvest, just confirming everything. Owners happy as coming, because sometimes birds or something might get to them. There's I was organising a apple pickup Montacute Way, but I've had to cancel that because the birds have all got to them. So it's confirming that it's all still good to go, and see how many people are signed up, getting names and all that, so you can fill out the sign-in sheet, make sure you've got that all good. And it is getting equipment. So this is the basic equipment that we normally use. I've got the fluoro vests like I'm wearing here. I've got some I put logos on it, which they look good. Ladders, we try to limit ladders, because if we've got these pole pickers, then you can reach, they're quite handy, you can reach quite high. Sometimes a ladder can come in handy, but it's also riskier. You don't want people falling off the ladders. So it's probably on an as needs basis, but getting boxes at the moment, been getting, I've got some plastic boxes or crates, but you can get cardboard boxes from fruit and veg or styrofoam or whatever else. There's also the flat pack, the black crates that fold down, which I've got a couple of, but hoping to get a few more of them to make it a bit easier. And the digital scales we just use to weigh the fruit. So I just wrap around a strap around each of the boxes and weigh them and keep track of them that way. And then just meet up before the harvest starts. Meet up, be there early, and I've got a few signs, with the logo on it to try and make sure people find the right place. These vests also serve that purpose, so people can find you. And so before you get going, it's really telling the volunteers about what you're picking, what to leave for the owner if they want anything, if there's any hazards. Always ask. I've got it in the when you register for an event, whether or not they're happy having photos taken, but it's making sure again that they're happy with that, because it's good taking plenty of photos and even some videos just to share them, put them on Facebook or wherever, and just keeping things running smoothly, making sure everyone's doing happy doing whatever role, or switch around jobs if you want to. And then after you finish up, it's just going through weighing, making sure that fruit's weighed, gather all the equipment up, and just try to leave the sites, backyards or wherever at least as tidy and clean as when we found them. Hopefully even cleaner. If there's lots of drop fruit, then good to take a bucket or two and clear up some of that for chickens or whatever. So it's fairly straightforward, but then once that's all done, then it's about what you do with the harvest. So it's about like I said again, recording how much fruit we've harvested, and that's from the sign-in sheet. But then if you send it to coordinator like myself or whoever, we then record that in the spreadsheet to keep track of it. And then the big one working with at the moment, it's sort of got plenty of places to take the fruit, but fruit distribution is is definitely a bit of logistical effort. So this is one of the places we've been taking some of our fruit, the Oasis Food Pantry down in Shadow Park. We literally give them 100 kilos of apples or quinces or whatever else, and it's made use of it. So really trying to build our networks and systems on how to get the fruit and how you redistribute it, because it's hard to decide sometimes of where fruit should go. There's so many needy causes out there. Quite often, if there's somewhere nearby, you can drop it off, but there's a number of the charities or the groups that have been willing to pick it up, like the Oasis guys or a couple other groups. There's a couple of food pantries that are nearby that have dropped back to pick up fruit past my house here in Blackwood, where I've often got a lot of the fruit here myself. And then last thing is return equipment. So at the moment we've only really got equipment here sort of in Mitcham, what I've got, and Sharon, who's looking after down Onkaparinga way. So that's part of, if we get into more areas, we need to get a few more bits of equipment. We don't really need a huge amount. It's fairly low tech. It's only boxes and the pole pickers and scales to weigh things. It's sort of the main things, but it is sort of handy. And if we can get more flyers and that sort of thing to get the word out, it's good too. So it's sort of like how we're looking, how we want to support people and helping us get out into different areas and help work in those, coordinate and lead harvest in different areas. Is that been quite lucky that the sort of our message and has really seemed to resonate in the community. So I've done got a website set up now, which was through the Mitcham grant, and we've got a lot of flyers done up, which Mitcham or Onkaparinga at the moment, but it's easy to adapt for different councils or places around the city. But I've also new skill I've learnt is dealing with media. I was just on ABC Radio Drive time yesterday afternoon having a chat, which went quite well. I've been on Breakfast Radio and Coast FM and a couple other little local newspapers. Even a Channel 9 interview I've done, which I'm not sure when that's going to be aired, but so there's definitely plenty of interest. Everyone's always be it volunteers or anyone you speak to it about is quite supportive, and they all want to just help and get involved. So we've built as I showed you earlier, quite a database of volunteers and trees and charities and all that. So that's constantly building bigger and bigger. So over 120 volunteers signed up. A lot of fruit trees. There's also if there's public ones that I notice, I put them on there too. So every time we get a bit of media, whatever, it just jumps up a bit again. So it's trying, I suppose, engaging with those volunteers. If there's more pics in the different areas where they're from, then might tap into those volunteers a bit more. So, and also we're looking to how we can get more funding, applying for grants. Sort of got our association hopefully not too far off, which we'll be able to apply under that. But as well as like grants, sort of council by council, we're hoping to do something a bit more across the city. Looking at Green Adelaide grants or whatever, but they're trying to see how they fit or how different funding arrangements might suit what we're doing, and then sort of trying to help train and guide you, and at least what we've learnt in the last few months of doing this. It's definitely a work in progress, but we're working through it with whoever wants to get involved. We've had some great input or help from the guys in Ballarat that have sort of given us some direction. There's a group in Warrnambool too. They've only started fairly recently. I think it's Fruit Rescue. So they've been quite good too. And this picture here is just down picking nashies in a nearby orchard. We've got I think 100 odd kilos of nashies that day. So it's when you're picking from it trained nice like this, it's quite easy to pick it. Rather than some backyard trees can be a bit out of control, but often they're quite good. But so these are basic sort of roles that talking about. Like I said, area coordinators trying to people to look after different areas and try and build those connections and coordinate the harvests and where fruit goes to and all those sort of things. So trying to build those local connections and capabilities and all that. Trying to get a couple of people at least in each area, two minimum, probably 3 or 4, just so we've got a bit of coverage and backup, so it's all not down to one person. Likewise, some people to go out and lead the harvest. So, couple per sort of area, council area, what have you. There can, likely be a bit of crossover between some coordinators want to lead harvests, but it's probably good to have some harvest leaders that just what they do. Like I've led most of our harvest, but I've had, help from, 3 or 4 sort of other volunteers that have led some harvests. So yeah, it is good to be able to spread it around, like, because when it gets busy, there can be quite a few harvests. So you might not want to be harvesting fruit, every week or a couple of times a week or whatever it is. And so in red, they're the sort of big ones I'm seeing at the moment is working out the fruit distribution, the best way to go about getting the fruit to different places, and whether or not that's getting more sort of food charities sort of signed up, or just working out the logistics of how to get it there. That's something we're sort of working on, but open to help. And then then there's different sort of admin sort of roles that there's always plenty to do. Keeping in touch with fruit tree owners is a big one. Like when people sign up, it's good to try and get onto them, within a week, at the most, which not necessarily getting to at the moment, but just so we get an idea of when the fruit will be coming and how much and all that sort of thing. So plan to it to some degree, but quite often it's still, it comes to like, oh, we need to pick this weekend, or, the next few days or whatever, or, it'll go bad, or birds will get it or whatever else. So yeah. And then there's, stuff around creating the events and sharing the events and, that sort of thing, which isn't too onerous. I've sort of been doing most of that. Happy to look after that, but if anyone wants to help, and then social media, just getting in events and just keeping a bit of engagement, because like most of the posts we put out there, particularly on Facebook, have been a lot of interest. So it's good to keep it out there. I think the ABC interview I did yesterday was from a Facebook post I only did a few days ago that one of the producers or whatever saw and went, oh, that's a good story. So it does, the Facebook followers or whatever don't necessarily really mean too much, but when you reach, you connect with people from the ABC or people with fruit trees, that brings them in. That's that's real, really what we're after, and it seems to have quite powerful benefit. Instagram is one that starting to work on, but still not too many. We've only got 20 odd followers or whatever on there, and if anyone is knows fundraising, so know how to get money to sort of like build this in different areas or across the city, that'd be great. Getting grants or just support from businesses and all that sort of jazz, then that's definitely something we're really looking to build. And then there's always lots. I've got a list of tasks to do, that aren't necessarily urgent, but a really long list of tasks that can always help just trying to tighten up some of the processes, so that trying to get things running as smoothly as we can. So just some of the things to looking for funding for, like more equipment, like I said, and at the moment sort of mileage, getting coordinators or harvest leaders, if it's fairly local, it's not so bad, but some of them can be a fair distance, so it's covering some of those expenses and some of the IT sort of website and all those sort of fun things. At the moment, like I said, I've been storing a lot of fruit at home, so it's probably not the most sustainable option, having 100 to 100 whatever kilos of fruit hanging around. Not normally for long, but we're just working on how we can use that, look after that better. We've not have storage options around the city, temporary locations, even cool rooms, who knows. But then it's running workshops, which got a fruit tree winter tree pruning workshop coming up end of June, which quite popular. We haven't got too many spots left on that, so it's sort of educating people to look after trees and sort of then hopefully getting getting excess fruit that comes from that. And maintaining fruit trees. We've even we've been in contact with PERSA and SARDI about holding a online workshop around pests and diseases. Fruit trees. They're mainly thinking about fruit fly, which is sort of up in the northern suburbs, mainly centred around Salisbury North, but they've been quite supportive. Like put out a post about fruit fly, and then they sort of wanted to help us help educate people a bit, which is a good part of it, trying to get that engagement of looking after trees better and all that. And part of that, I've been thinking getting funding, to try and help people prune their trees that can't necessarily physically or whatever able to do that. Be it funding to get an external, or if our volunteers can be trained to a certain point to be able to do that. Definitely not necessarily trained adequately at the moment, but hopefully be able to do that. And then it's sort of there's a lot of fruit trees that are neglected that be good to sort of bring back, make them productive. Like public spaces, but private backyards and the like too. And this is a I thought this was a harvest that one of our volunteers lead that. I thought it was going to be quite small, ended up being 40 or 50 kilos from like literally one or two trees which had already been fairly well picked over by the owner. So we still got a heap of apples. I think they'll Golden Delicious and Jonathan and Granny Smith. So even once people have gone over the trees, there still can be quite a lot there. Like quite often they pick as many as they can, give away as much as they can, and they say, "Oh, we've still got heaps," and so that's when we can come in and just take it away from there. And I one day see if we haven't got too many on here, I might not worry about doing a survey, but that's the crux of it. I know I've probably gone through pretty quick. But if anyone has any questions, you can sort of yell out. Sharon, if you...
Yeah, thanks for that, Brett. Sounds like a really exciting and amazing thing to be a part of. I have a question about how the trees are identified. For example, in the suburb that we're living in, there's a lot of I guess, older Italian families that live around the place, and there's even fruit trees near the streets, I've noticed, is that when I've been winding my way around. So I've probably identified a few that I've already seen fruit starting to drop down. Is it appropriate to kind of knock on the door and kind of go, "Hey, I noticed you've got some fruit. Would you like us to tidy that up for you? And here's some for you."
Yeah, well, I suppose trying to think, because we have got, we can always have the conversation if you do it nicely and knock on the door and, particularly if if you have we've got some flyers. So if you take something to say that, we're not just taking it,
No.
For
Right.
ourselves, because quite often I think, when you say, we'll have like volunteers come and pick it, but the vast majority of the fruit that we pick goes to people that need it, that basically
Yeah.
wouldn't have fruit otherwise. So when people know that, then they sort of going, "Oh, yeah, go for it." But I think,
Mm.
I haven't done that myself, but
Mm.
definitely, I've
Because
had
some
some people.
elderly people may actually, like seniors in our community, I work at palliative care, and there's a whole lot
Yep.
of things that just assist them in feeling more comfortable in their daily life. And seeing fruit dropping from the tree when they used to be able to pick it could be something which could be a little confronting for some people who no longer can get out and pick it. So I just see some real social and some social benefits from being able to go, "Hey, we exist, and we can help you, and here's a crate of stuff that you couldn't pick now because you may no longer be able to." So maybe making some connections with the aged care area as well in the community.
Yeah.
May
Sorry.
I interrupt?
Yeah.
Sorry. You can turn your cameras on if you wish. Don't have to, but
I have a few elderly neighbours who feel exactly like that. They feel guilty that they can't pick from the trees
Mm.
anymore. And for me, the best way of approaching is a letterbox drop and then a perhaps knock on the door, but a
Mm.
very gentle approach. And they have been so welcoming.
Wonderful. It's really good to hear that, and I think you're right about perhaps there might be hesitation to sort of answering the door. So I can see how also doing a letterbox drop would be a great idea.
Yeah, just a hello. And I've
Mm.
noticed you've got this tree. It's beautiful.
Mm.
That's one of the things we're having, because we've had a lot of reach on Facebook, but it's connecting with those, other locations. That I know because I've dealt with the Mitcham Council a bit, and they have spoken about, a number of the their lifestyle or whatever teams that go out to the elderly. Like what you say, there's fruit dropping and all that sort of thing, and yeah, so they, hopefully, I know even on Capringa, they've sort of similar thing. They're trying to get the message out there, but yeah, it's being careful, because
Yeah.
you get flyers. I think it's probably, putting the flyer there, and at least because like the flyers they've got, a QR code, which but also they've
Mm.
got email and phone number, so that it's just basically my phone
But
number.
there's
So
but
Mm.
there's also that connecting
yep,
Yeah.
with older people
yep,
Yes.
who maybe want to share their knowledge about their trees, their gardens. I think that's really a lovely thing to be doing.
I
I,
agree.
yep.
And my dad, for example, has this amazing pomegranate tree, and he managed to pick quite a lot of them. And then he said, "What am I going to do with all this?" We all took everyone took a bit. The whole street had a bit, but I managed to distribute it a bit further than that. And it was interesting to me how the people who received the fruit got a boost of joy. They all said, "Oh, here's some lemons for Dad." They don't know my dad, but they would say, "Here's some lemons." And Dad heard all these stories back, and it just really brought like a bit of joy to all of those people. And I just see that a real benefit. Some people may be feeling quite isolated at home, the elderly. And so watching even on the porch while people are picking is quite an enjoyable thing. So I feel like it has multiple benefits. So thanks for
Yep.
everything you Brett. Yeah.
No, no,
Yeah.
yeah, because I think it's knowing those areas. Because I know, where I am, there's probably, I don't see, I see fruit trees, but not that's, you know that sort of scale. And I suppose it's identifying, if you know an area near you, then happy to give you some flyers and drop them off, or and if you can have conversations or whatever, then yeah, it's great to, because it definitely is. Yeah, it's not just, because for me it started with, oh, there's fruit going to waste because I like growing fruit on my own fruit trees, but then it
Yeah.
become, oh, there's a lot of people that need that fruit because they literally wouldn't eat fruit otherwise, and then there's community building, which is, it's, yeah, because like literally everyone I've been to pick fruit, they've always been just so happy to have you there and just making use of what they, they've, like you said, they've tried to give away to people, but there's only so much you can give away before,
Yeah.
everyone's had enough, um, yeah, so it's definitely, yeah, one of the big sort of, yeah, pillars of it, yeah.
One of the things I was thinking about when you were talking about ensuring the excess fruit gets used, there are a lot of community kitchens. I was wondering how or if you have managed to connect with some of those.
I I have managed to connect with, through the Mitcham Council only just recently. Yeah, some around this area.
Hmm.
Um, that given some quinces to, and only just the other day some pears. So yeah, it is. You know, constant. It's not an area that I've ever worked in before, so it's a big learning experience for me.
So
So
Would you like to expand that? Is what I'm asking, because I'd love to play a part in that.
Yeah, I definitely like, knowing, it's knowing where we can take it without actually, make good use of it. Because I know when I told these guys from the council that I had 50 kilos of quinces or whatever, they were just so excited that they'd be able to make use of that. And I was like, God, oh, geez, it's quite funny, but it is when you see that joy in people going, getting that excited, you're going, so if however we can get more places, I think it is, if you start, because I haven't really tried to build those networks of where the fruit goes too much, but if we can build that, more places than we know for it to go to, then you can have that many more options about to spread it around. Because at the moment it's probably a lot, sort of down south or certain areas, but it's happy to help in whatever way. That's the thing. We sort of got different volunteers that can different skills and knowledge and whatever that if they can help, then that's great.
Great.
Anything else from anyone? I was going to say, I was just going to share. Where am I going? Sorry. Sorry, just a sec. Just going to go back to my little prezzo and got probably late now, but got a couple of harvests coming up this week. So white sapote, which I did get one from someone not long ago, but there's one harvest down in Parkside tomorrow, which sounds like there's so many. It's it's like if we don't come in.
What does a white sapote taste like?
Well, the one I had, God, how long ago? That wasn't too long ago, maybe a month or something. It was sort of, you let them soften up, and it was quite custardy. I'm trying to how you describe it, but yeah, a different sort of flavour. But I liked it. So this guy was literally just dropping. Planted it 20 years ago or whatever, and it's so much fruit that he's having to clean it up, spend so much time cleaning up. You're going, either someone comes in and picks them, or it's sort of almost get cut down. But so hopefully we can get their bit from there and put it to good use. And then we've got pear harvest on Friday, which is back at an orchard that we've gone to twice before. We've got 600 kilos from of pears from the one place, so going back there to get a little bit more, and they've been great. And McGarry Orchard, they're quite supportive and open to helping. They know it's all going to a good cause. So, and like I said, was meant to have an apple harvest at another orchard on the weekend, but just found out today that the birds basically destroyed what was left, so it's not worth that one. So it's keeping on top of what is sort of when things are coming ripe and getting in as soon as you can, and then then sort of got this fruit tree pruning workshop coming up end of June, which we've already, out of 25 tickets, I think is already 17 of those sold, which pretty well already covers our costs and all. So it's another building. It's educating people, so hopefully they can help look after trees, but also building community. There was a retirement village that actually must have some kind of small fruit orchard that there was like half a dozen from the one sort of retirement village coming along because they want to learn how to look after their trees and hopefully give us a little bit if they've got some left over. So it's if this one, you know, like it's nearly 2 months still, but it's, you know, not far off being sold out. So might run another one of those because I've built connections with a number of, you know, the people that expert in, you know, pruning trees. So, you know, yeah, a lot more of those. Got someone just rocked up. Yeah, and that is pretty well it. And this is, I think this is pretty well the first harvest I went to, down Maslin's Beach. So this like we were talking a minute ago, this was an elderly lady who, that big nectarine tree, I think it was just one nectarine tree, but yeah, she was not able to pick, you know, she wanted some left so she could pick them herself, you know, some lower ones, but basically most of it she couldn't pick herself. So she was happy for us to come and pick nectarines. But whilst we we're there, we got some oranges and lemons, and yeah, it was, you know, it's great for a first time out for me. So like if anyone has any questions or they want to get, you know, more involved, then you can email, you know, Fruit Share Adelaide at gmail.com, or, you know, give me a call on the mobile there. It's yeah, it's been quite an experience, quite a, you know, everyone so supportive. Like call I had on ABC Drive yesterday, yeah, community and everyone that got on, you know, dialed in, were really excited about the idea. It's sort of seems to resonate. So it's, yeah, hopefully we can help get it out there a bit more. So yeah, if, you know, I'll send out a message to you guys and anyone that wasn't able to make it. So I've recorded this to see, you know, who wants to help, how and where, and might have another sort of catch up down the track to see how we go, because I think, you know, there's definitely probably citrus coming up, and probably, you know, if you have a fruit that, you know, it's definitely not completely down season. So any other questions before we go, or leave it there? No? Oh, well, thanks for joining me today. Yeah, and stay in touch, and I'll be able to check out the recording another time, and I'll send out an email to see who wants to do what, who's interested, so you can have a bit of a think or whatever. But yeah, thank you. Cheers.
Thank you.
No
Really
worries.
appreciate it.
Thanks, Brett.
No worries.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye.
See ya.